A young Staten Island girl arrived at her West Brighton home after school on Monday to find her teen brother drenched in blood before he uttered the chilling words, "I did something bad. Go to your room." The girl walked inside and followed blood trails to the bathroom, where she found the boyfriend of the suspect's mother in the bathtub, with his head removed and a knife still in his head. She then called 911. Police arrived at the Cary Avenue home at about 4:20 p.m. before the bloodied 19-year-old suspect came out with his hands raised and was apprehended. Authorities then discovered the grisly scene of the slain 45-year-old sanitation worker in the bathroom. The butchered man was a DSNY worker who was forced to go on disability due to severe vision loss.
Picture this. You walk through the front door after a normal day at school, only to be met by a scene straight out of a horror movie. Your brother stands there, blood pooled around his feet, his voice eerily calm as he says, "Go to your room." I did something bad. That horrifying moment wasn't part of any movie script. It was real life for one teenager in a quiet West Brighton neighborhood in early October 2025. 19-year-old Damien Hurstel, a Staten Island resident with a long history of severe mental health struggles, is now facing murder charges after allegedly confessing to the brutal killing of his mother's longtime boyfriend and stepfather, 45-year-old retired sanitation mechanic Anthony Castlebro. But it doesn't end there. Authorities say Damien not only killed Anthony, he tried to erase every trace of the crime. According to investigators, he attempted to blend the victim's brain and flush it down the toilet in a shocking effort to destroy evidence. On Monday, October 6th, everything began with a heated argument inside their home on Cary Avenue near North Burger Avenue. Damien, described as emotionally disturbed and on several psychiatric medications, has reportedly battled schizophrenia and self-harm tendencies since at least 2022. That morning, tensions between him and his 39-year-old mother reached a boiling point. Anthony, who had been in a relationship with Damien's mother for nearly 6 years and had become a steady stepfather figure through the family's highs and lows, tried to calm the situation. He reportedly told Damien to take a walk and cool off, a simple, well-meaning suggestion that would tragically ignite a chain of horrific events. Damien left the house, but when he returned a short while later, his mother was gone, leaving him alone with Anthony. The tension between them quickly escalated into unimaginable violence. In a chilling confession to NYPD detectives at the 120th Precinct, Damien admitted to grabbing a meat tenderizer from the kitchen and striking Anthony repeatedly in the head, beating him to death. He allegedly told police that he wanted to know what it felt like to kill someone, a disturbing statement that investigators say reflects years of untreated mental illness and deep emotional turmoil. But the horror didn't end there. Damien then stabbed Anthony multiple times in the head and neck, intensifying the brutality of the attack. After the killing, Damien dragged Anthony's body into the bathroom and began a gruesome attempt to dismember it. At first, he used a kitchen knife to sever the head, but when it proved too dull, he fetched a handsaw from the backyard shed and continued until, unfortunately, he had achieved his goal. Blood covered nearly every surface, soaking the tiles, splattering the walls, and leaving a crimson trail through multiple rooms of the home, transforming it into a scene of pure horror. Investigators say Damien then tried to remove Anthony's brain, striking the skull with a hammer, in an effort to carry out a macabre plan to liquefy it in a blender and flush it down the toilet. When police arrived later, they found the blender plugged in, still spattered with biological matter, evidence that the grotesque process had begun. The carnage only stopped when the front door opened. Damien's 16-year-old sister had just returned home from school around 4 p.m. She stepped into a house streaked with blood and followed the gruesome trail to the bathroom, where she made the horrifying discovery that would change her life forever. According to police, Damien's 16-year-old sister walked into the living room to find him standing there, his face and arms smeared with blood, his Timberland boots caked in it, yet his clothes strangely clean. In a calm, almost detached voice, he told her, "I did something bad. Go to your room." Ignoring his command, she rushed past him and opened the bathroom door, only to be met with a sight that made her scream in terror. Inside the blood-soaked room, Anthony's headless torso was slumped in the bathtub, while his severed head lay in a sink filled with crimson water, a knife still embedded in the neck. Panicked, she called her mother, who raced home as neighbors began to gather outside, drawn by the commotion. When NYPD officers arrived shortly after 4:20 p.m., they were met with chaos. Damien emerged from the house calmly, hands raised in surrender, his face expressionless, no panic, no remorse, just an unsettling calm that left even veteran officers shaken. Outside, his mother collapsed on the lawn in grief, vomiting and screaming as EMS zipped Anthony's remains into body bags. Witnesses described her anguished cries echoing through the block. According to neighbors, she yelled to first responders, "There's no need to go in, you can't help him, his head is in the tub, there's nothing for you to do." Then, turning toward her son inside the house, she cried out, "Why would you kill him? I still loved him." Neighbor Jennifer Diaz recalled watching officers handcuff Damien as his mother refused to even look at him. The whole block just fell silent except for her screams. Flashing lights, sobs, and stunned disbelief filled the once quiet street. One shaken resident told reporters, "This world is upside down." What he did, you wouldn't even do that to an animal. Later that evening, Damien was taken into custody with no prior criminal record. At the precinct, detectives said he calmly recounted every gruesome detail, how he bludgeoned Anthony, sawed off his head, and planned to blend and flush the remains. But before the case could move forward, something unexpected happened. On Tuesday morning, as officers wheeled Damien toward the Staten Island courthouse for arraignment on murder and weapon possession charges, he suddenly went into violent convulsions. Witnesses said he was strapped to a gurney wearing a white Tyvek suit still stained with blood. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital, postponing the arraignment and leaving the case temporarily in limbo. This wasn't the first sign of turmoil within the Hurstel household, but no one could have imagined it would end in such unimaginable tragedy. Over the years, multiple domestic disturbance calls had been logged at the family's Cary Avenue home, each one linked to Damien's worsening mental health. He'd missed therapy sessions, had emotional breakdowns at school, and bore scars from self-inflicted injuries. He was also prescribed several medications for his condition. According to Louis Ortiz, a close friend of Anthony's, Damien could be sweet as pie at times, gentle and polite, but was also haunted by demons that seemed to control him. Just days before the murder, a neighbor, 36-year-old Mariano Castro, spotted Damien and Anthony mowing the lawn and grilling together like any ordinary father and son. Nothing about that afternoon hinted at the horror that was about to unfold. With a documented history of mental illness and repeated domestic disturbances, you have to wonder, was there a missed opportunity for intervention that could have saved Anthony's life? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Families like Damien's and Anthony's deserve better mental health support, faster crisis responses, and systems that don't wait for tragedy before stepping in. Here, Damien's mother recounts the story in disbelief, visibly heartbroken and devastated.
I don't know what else to say other than I'm heartbroken. Anthony was a great man. He was helping me raise my kids. He didn't have to do that. He always wanted to help Damien. I don't know what else to say. I know they were prescribing him meds, but they took him off what was making him stable, and they didn't even wean him off. They just put him on new stuff. He never had side effects before. I think he reported to me or the doctor when he was a kid. When Bri came home, before they came home, he said, just stay calm. I texted on Anthony's phone, just stay calm. Anthony could not text correctly, so Bri thought it was weird. Also asked, where's the bus? Anthony never asked us. Bri had the key. Bri opened the door. And Damien was kind of trying to shield Bri, I think, from what Bri told me.
Bri is the sibling.
The sister, right?
Right.
He took Bri to the room, and because there's no blood in there, and he was trying to talk to Bri and explain what was going on, how he was going to fix everything, like it could be fixed. Bri was very calm. I don't know how that kid got through that. They were extremely calm. They let him have control of the situation just so they could survive and get out of there. They said they wanted to see Anthony. He said not to go in there. Bri said, please let me see him. My kid saw all that. My kid saw all that. Bri said, are you gonna hurt me? He said, I'm not gonna hurt you. And she said, are you gonna hurt Mom? And he said, do you want her to live? And she said, yes, please. He said, okay, she'll live. And she said, can I go? And he said, are you gonna tell her? And she said, no. She left. She went to the backyard. She was hiding behind the shed waiting for me. Very scared. I called me and said, Mom, it's really urgent. I need you to talk to me before you get home. I said, what's wrong, honey? She called me scared. And I was like, I could hear it in her voice. I said, are you somewhere safe? I didn't even know what was going on yet. I said, stay on the phone with me. Are you somewhere safe? She said, I'm behind the shed. I said, why are you behind the shed? She said, Mom, he killed him. I said, who killed who, honey? She said, Damien killed Anthony and he doesn't have a head. I told Bri, if Anthony's life can be saved, I'm going to go save him. She said, Mom, you can't save him. So I'm going to go try. If you don't hear from me in 2 minutes, you need to call 911. She said, are you sure, Mom? I said, yes, and tell them everything and tell them to come quickly. I went upstairs. My front door was open. I had my keys in my hand. I walked upstairs to my apartment door. I knocked on the door like this. I started opening the door and Damien unlocked it. And then he moves back quickly. And then when I open the door, or he opens the door, there's blood everywhere. I try to stay as calm as possible. I said, hey, Damien, what are you doing? He didn't say anything. His eyes look different. He has light eyes. The eyes look dark. It looked weird. I said, Damien, what's going on? What's wrong, honey? What are you doing? Cleaning. I opened the bathroom door. I saw the love of my life on the floor of the bathroom. Of the shower with no head. I just remember screaming, why? He loves you. Why would you do this? Why? And I started calling 911. I told him to come quick. My son killed my boyfriend. He's dead. They said, can he be saved? I said, how do you know? He said, he has no head. And I was going to marry Anthony. We were about to get a house. The car outside, he bought for my birthday. Because he loved me so much. He was just like his stepfather. They went fishing together. They hung out together. They worked out together. They went to the gym together. They took walks together. They played video games together. They did so much stuff together. They were friends. Oh, it's really hard. It's really difficult right now. I had everything on Sunday, and my life is falling apart. I don't know how to help my children. I can barely help myself. I gotta take it moment by moment so I can stay sober. It's really, really hard for me. I'm praying a lot more than I ever prayed in my life. My heart aches for Anthony's family. I was going to be a part of that family. I was going to marry that man.